Today is the 60th day since the apocalypse. This beautiful, obedient zombie girl next to me is the partner I kidnapped from a crowd of millions. It all started 2.5 months ago. At 5 a.m., I'd just gotten up to pee, when a flash of fire streaked across the sky. Being a curious bystander, I pulled out the 10 billion pixel latest smartphone my ex gave me, ready to record this bizarre scene. The footage on the screen panned slowly across the waking city streets. Finally, the camera froze on a bar street over 10 kilometers away. People on the screen were running for their lives. Behind the scattering crowd were things that made my skin crawl. A scene that only happened in sci-fi movies was playing out in real life. Even though it was miles away, I'd already wet my pants. I took a deep breath and searched for those streets. I was greeted by all sorts of intense zombie footage. But before I could look further, every piece of news was wiped clean. At the same time, the government announced a nationwide 10-day holiday. The reason was a super virus called Xiao Haizi, spreading through the population. But while the crisis broke out in Thailand, suddenly in just 2 days, 90% of the world's population turned into zombies. I'd stocked up on survival supplies early, but one act of kindness changed everything. I saved the couple next door from zombies, only for them to lock me out. With no other choice, I had to survive like a rat. But then, unexpectedly, a mutated orange cat's laser eye burnt me to ashes. As I died, a voice rang in my head. Congrats, you've earned the title Returner. You qualify for the love system. Just interact with target characters to receive rewards. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the apocalypse started. I was completely dazed. In front of me, a decent-looking zombie was charging at me. Once I understood the system, I wiped the drool from my mouth. The love system doesn't seem to have race or gender limits. Besides, a zombie this pretty would be a total waste to leave here. Thinking that, I pulled a rope out of my pocket. I tied one end to a fire hydrant and made a lasso with the other. Then I threw it hard. It looped right around the zombie. She let out a roar, but a second later, I stuffed a rag into her mouth. Smelling the human flesh so close, the zombie went wild. Her head kept lunging toward me, but I was excitedly stroking her hand. Suddenly, the system's voice rang out. Congrats! Hand-holding mission complete. Name Lu Ruyan. Identity: college student. Cosplay enthusiast.
Zombie Affection. Nullter Reward. 100 Kilogramm Raw Meat.
Kiss reward: zombie virus vaccine. Full conquest reward: gene purification serum. My breathing quickened at the sight. Forget the other 2 rewards. Just 100 kilograms of raw meat for holding hands is enough to feed me for over 2 years. But the hard part now is raising a zombie's affection. They only think about eating. Can they even understand what affection is? After a moment, I took the rag out of Lu Ruyan's mouth. She immediately started snarling at me. Her sharp teeth kept snapping together, making a clicking sound. I pulled a piece of raw meat from system storage and shoved it into her mouth. The roaring stopped instantly. She started tearing into the meat. Seeing this, I sighed. With teeth that sharp, the stage 2 kiss reward is out of the question. Just then, the door next door opened. A man and a woman walked out. Hey, mister. My husband and I haven't eaten in 2 days. You have enough food to feed a zombie. Can't you share some with us? These 2 are newlyweds. The guy's Wu Tailang. The woman's Shui Bingqing. They usually just order takeout, so they had no extra food at home. In my past life, I fell for their lies. I shared my food with them. I thought they'd be grateful, but while I was out scavenging, they cleared out my room. Then they locked the door and ignored my shouting. No way I'm giving food to people like that. But I can definitely use Shui Bingqing. The system panel appeared. Name: Shui Bingqing. Identity: married. Affection: 0. Hand contact reward: 100 kilograms fresh produce. Kiss reward: a 120 SQM house. Full conquest reward: a 1000 SQM villa. Couldn't help but smirk. That's a full 100 kilos of fruits and veggies. I have food, but a balanced diet is important too. Seeing me smile, they thought I'd agreed. Then Wu Tailang got greedy. Give us 10 pounds of pork first, and 3 jugs of water. I almost laughed in his face. When did I say I'd give you anything? I have more food than I can eat. But even if I feed it to zombies or dogs, I'm not giving it to them. I pushed Lu Ruyan back into my room. Wu Tailang glared at my back. He wanted to charge, but he was scared of the zombie. Once inside, I tied Lu Ruyan up and checked the system panel again. To my surprise, her affection actually went up by 5. It reminded me of my past life, when many intelligent, purified zombies appeared later in the apocalypse. Could Lu Ruyan be purified too? And with just that little meat, her affection rose by 5 points. She's way easier to handle than a normal woman. I fed her a few more pieces of raw meat and got her affection up to 10. I wanted to keep going, but seeing her bulging belly, I decided to stop. I stuffed the rag back in her mouth and started making plans. A month after the outbreak, extreme cold will hit. I only have about 20 days left. First, supplies. Food, drinks, medical stuff, plus clothes and medicine. Those are easy to find. But as for the safe house, I have no idea. Besides being sturdy, it needs to stay warm. When the cold snap arrives, finding a building like that is going to be tough. As far as I know, there's no house like that in Binhai City. Then,
I remembered Shui Binking's case reward.
I quickly asked the system, is the rewarded house already existing? Or does it appear out of nowhere? Rewarded houses are built from scratch. The host can choose any location. What if I want something special? Like a house made of titanium alloy, with escape exits, storage and medical equipment? The system paused before answering. The host must provide blueprints. Gear like medical equipment isn't part of the house. The host must get those themselves. This made me ecstatic. In other words, my titanium safe house is possible. Just then, there was a knock. Shui Bingqing was standing outside, dazed. Since the door didn't open, she was getting anxious. The hallways were pitch black. She didn't know if a zombie would pop out. Just as she was about to give up, the door opened. She was relieved. But when she saw my meat cleaver, she panicked. "Don't be nervous," she said quickly. "I'm not carrying any weapons." I looked her up and down. Shui Bingqing obviously noticed. If this were before, she would have slapped me. But since she needs me, she could only force a smile. "I just want to borrow some food." I looked at her with disdain. "I won't let you lose out," she added. But I wasn't buying it. "Talk straight, or I'm closing the door." Shui Bingqing froze. "What? Aren't you afraid a zombie will jump out?" As soon as I said it, a zombie roar echoed nearby. It was very close. Shui Bingqing's face went white. She had to suck it up and come in. As I was closing the door, I locked eyes with Wu Tailang across the hall. Seeing he was spotted, he quietly ducked back inside. I chuckled and shut the door. What a natural-born coward. He's so good at hiding. Inside, once Lu Ruyan saw Shui Bingqing, she immediately got aggressive. Shui Bingqing instinctively backed away. She gasped and quickly kept her distance. "Why do you have a zombie in here? Aren't you scared?" I said calmly. "What's there to be afraid of? It's just a zombie." At those words, she couldn't help but compare me to Wu Tailang. If her husband had half my guts, she wouldn't have to beg me for food. Thinking of this, Shui Bingqing sighed. "So, what exactly do I have to do? For you to share your food?" 2.5 hours later, a traumatized Shui Bingqing ran to the bathroom. Soon, the sound of vomiting came from inside. A few minutes later, she came back to the living room. She said to me quite rudely, "I did what I had to do. Where's the food?" I slowly opened the fridge, letting her see it was stuffed with meat. For a second, she thought about knocking me out. But logic won out. I was actually watching her closely too. Since she didn't do anything, felt like a bit of a waste. I was so close to getting it for free. I took out about a pound of pork and tossed it in front of her. She stared at the meat on the floor. "This is all you're giving me? It's plenty. I was only going to give you half a pound." But she didn't know what a pound of meat was worth. In the apocalypse, she only knew Wu Tailang had paid a fortune in bride price to marry her, and her name was on the deed. Shui Bingqing took a deep breath, finally picked up the pork, and walked out with a cold face. Seeing this, I wasn't mad. I was happy. The worse she felt, the more satisfaction I got. Then I happily pulled up the system panel. House and fruit trees ready to claim. The 120 SQM house is small, but I have a solution. As long as I find someone with a status similar to hers, I can expand on that 120 SQM. The only problem now is the safe house blueprints. I figured Binhai University might have architecture survivors, so I need to head out. Next morning, I started scavenging. First was room 504, across the hall. I pulled out a wire and picked the lock. It didn't take long to open. Stepping in, I heard chewing from the bedroom. I pushed the door open quietly. I saw a white-haired old man, eating a corpse on the bed. How pathetic. I swung the cleaver at his neck, but I couldn't cut through it in one go. Instead, I just alerted him. He turned and lunged at me. I kicked him in the stomach, sending him flying while pulling the cleaver out. Then I rushed in and hacked away, until he stopped moving. When I snapped out of it, I noticed 2 notches in the blade. It's just a kitchen knife after all. Fine for chopping meat, but not really enough for zombies. Looks like I need a better weapon. By noon, I finally finished clearing the 5th floor. I took out 3 zombies total. Found a crate of beer, 7 bottles of meds, and a tub of protein powder. A good haul, but the cleaver's trashed. Luckily, I found a baseball bat. Gave it a couple of swings. Felt good. On the other side, the 2 of them watched through the peephole as I hacked away at the zombies. The way I looked like a maniac made them both gulp. They were glad they didn't try anything, or they'd be dead by now. When the door next door shut, they finally dared to step out. They went through the rooms one by one, looking for leftover food. Too bad I'd already picked them clean. Damn, is this guy a locust? Not a single scrap left. Shui Bingqing found a steak, but it was crawling with maggots. Wu Tailong's eyes darted. Honey, why don't you go ask him for more food? She wanted to say no, but Wu Tailang said, Are you waiting for him to feed it all to the zombies? Then you'll ask. Then he sincerely took her hand. When he was being sincere, Honey, I want to survive with you. We'll definitely make it. Until the rescue team arrives. Seeing her husband's pleading eyes, Shui Bingqing bit her lip. Fine. I'll go. As soon as she walked in, she smelled something amazing. I walked into the kitchen and came out with a rice cooker. It was full of potatoes. I opened a beer, sat on the couch and started eating. The smell made her mouth water. Since I didn't say anything, she just stood there awkwardly. After a few bites, I spoke up. Almost forgot about you. I got up, grabbed a plate and put some meat on it. She thought it was for her. As she happily went to take it, I walked right past her to the sofa. I took the rag out of Lu Ruyan's mouth, and she immediately started devouring it. Shui Bingqing stood there, embarrassed. She cleared her throat. To change the subject. Did you clear the 5th floor today? Yeah, I'm leaving soon. So I'm gathering supplies before I go. Shui Bingqing's eyes widened. What? You're leaving? It's full of zombies out there. Where are you going? I smiled and didn't answer. Why? Don't want me to leave? She looked furious. Like hell I'd miss you. I hope you die out there. But despite saying that, there was a hint of worry in her eyes. If I left with all the food, she and Wu Tailang would starve. So, why are you here? I want to trade for food. Couldn't help but chuckle. I knew she'd come back, but not this soon. For days later, I scavenged the whole building. And lately, Lu Ruyan's appetite was getting huge. At first, half a pound filled her up. Now, after 2.5 pounds, her stomach isn't even bulging. If her affection wasn't rising, I wouldn't even keep feeding her. Whether she understood or not, I threatened her. I've been feeding you for 6 days. If you bite me again, I'll leave you here to rot. Then I took the rag out of her mouth. She didn't snarl like before. She just opened her mouth for food. If you bite me, I won't give you anything to eat. Got it? Since you're not talking, I'll take that as a yes. I tentatively reached toward her. She immediately tried to bite me.
He shouted at her sharply.
She froze, startled. Then she tilted her head and looked at me. I tried reaching out again, but she still tried to bite. After going back and forth a dozen times, just as I was about to give up, she finally stopped biting. Instead, she looked at my face, trying to judge from my expression if this was food for her. I felt a surge of excitement. I shook my head slowly at her, and as if she understood, she actually didn't bite. Excited, I handed her another piece of meat, and nodded. This time she just started eating. We did this a few more times. She waited for my nod every time, to make sure she could control her aggression. Without being tied up, I decided to run another test. First, I untied her. Then I put a plate of meat on the table. She stood up shakily and walked toward me. First she looked at the meat, then at me, then she pointed at the plate. I was thrilled. I gave her a nod. Only then did she start eating. She still ate like a mess, but it's worth noting that even at only 40 affection, she stopped attacking me. If it reaches 100, will I have a completely obedient zombie minion? This isn't a love system. It's more like a master-servant system. Meanwhile, Wu Tailang has been on edge these past few days. He's heard the news that I'm leaving. Whether for my food, He doesn't plan on letting me leave here alive. But he's got no shot at pulling it off alone. After all, I'm a total badass who can take out zombies with ease. So Wu Talong started egging on his wife, Shui Bingqing. I don't think we can let that guy next door leave. At least not with all that food. Why don't you go get food from him one more time? Then open the door for me while he's asleep. We'll take the chance to kill him. Out of guilt, Shui Bingqing did almost anything Wu Talong asked. So she finally nodded and agreed. Wu Talong got excited instantly. Great. We'll move as soon as it's dark. I'll go get things ready. In the bathroom, Shui Bingqing stared blankly at her reflection in the mirror. But her mind was in absolute turmoil. He didn't ask me for any specifics, which means he already knows. So that raises a new question. Did Wu Talong know from the very first day? Or did he only just realize? Thinking back on how he's been pushing her to go to that room next door these past few days, the answer seems pretty obvious now. Shui Bingqing shook her head, trying to clear the chaos in her head. She gave her reflection a bitter smile. Whatever. I'm the one who betrayed him anyway. I'll just consider this paying him back. I was planning to get some rest early today and head out first thing in the morning. But I just laid down when I heard a knock at the door. I already knew who it was. Sure enough, it was Shui Bingqing. She was wearing a red dress, with black tights covering her shapely legs. Short on food again already? Come on in. Shui Bingqing lowered her head. Her eyes were burning with rage. Looking away, Shui Bingqing said to me, maybe you should just stay here with us. Let's wait for rescue. Shui Bingqing was still trying to convince me to stay. If I changed my mind, then she and Wu Talong wouldn't have to make their move. In her mind, I was basically a monster, both in terms of strength and combat skill. So, she wanted to avoid a fight with me if at all possible. The most I'd have to do is work a bit harder. It's better than losing my life. I knew there wasn't going to be any rescue. The evolving zombies are hard enough to handle on their own. Not to mention the cold wave that's coming soon. By then, no one will be able to last long outside, let alone save anyone. But I didn't plan on telling Shui Bingqing. I want her and Wu Talong to hang onto their hope, only to die in total despair. So I shook my head. Don't say another word. Let's get down to business. Shui Bingqing's hopes were crushed. A cold glint flashed through her eyes. But she said, I want more supplies this time. 2.5 hours later, hearing my soft snoring, Shui Bingqing crept out of bed. From the bedroom to the living room, then to the front door. It was a distance of less than 10 steps. But it took her nearly 5 agonizing minutes. She opened the door. Wu Talong slipped inside. Well, is he asleep? He's asleep. Good. He's right in the bedroom. Good. I'm going in to finish him off now. Wu Talong bypassed Shui Bingqing and headed into the room. But he only took a few steps before he saw a figure standing in front of the bedroom door. Wu Talong turned pale with fright. What? I thought you said he was asleep. He was. Wait, what's? Shui Bingqing looked where Wu Talong was pointing. A figure was indeed standing at the bedroom door. Its eyes were glowing red in the dark. Shui Bingqing was startled as well. But she soon noticed something wasn't right. I was a full head taller than her. But this person was even half a head shorter than her. And the silhouette was much slimmer, not like a man's build at all. She whispered a reminder. Wait, that's not that bastard. Wu Talong was skeptical. Luckily, he hadn't come unprepared. In case it was too dark to see, he'd brought a flashlight along. He pulled it out and shone the light forward.
A petite.
Delicate-looking girl in a school uniform stood silently in front of the door. Who is she? Shui Bingqing looked like she'd seen a ghost. That's the zombie he's keeping. She's broken free. Wu Talong was also shaken. He aimed the flashlight at her face. Sure enough, he saw those unnatural red eyes. Shui Bingqing clutched Wu Talong's arm. Honey, what do we do? Maybe we should just get out of here. Shui Bingqing was already getting cold feet. Wu Talong was having an intense internal struggle. He was terrified of the zombie Lu Ruyan too, but he knew full well that if they missed their chance tonight, they'd never get another opportunity like this. He could leave with Shui Bingqing now and come back for the supplies after the zombie killed me. But what if I turned into a zombie as well? Wu Talong didn't think he could handle 2 zombies guarding the place just to get some food. So, taking out the obstacle in front of him first, and then killing me while I slept, was clearly his best bet. This was also because Lu Ruyan looked way too harmless. She was nothing like those other bloody, terrifying monsters. That's what gave Wu Talong the illusion that he could actually handle her. To be safe, Wu Talong's eyes darted around as he thought. He said to his wife, "Honey, you distract her for me. I'll deal with her. Don't worry, I won't let her hurt you." He said that, but Wu Talong was actually ready to sacrifice Shui Bingqing at any moment. A woman unfaithful to her husband was just a waste of food anyway. Shui Bingqing was completely against it. She could sacrifice her dignity for him, but sacrificing her life? She wasn't that committed. Then, from the direction of the zombie girl, came a very impatient voice. "Seriously, how much longer are you two going to argue?" Hearing that voice, Wu Talong and Shui Bingqing's hearts skipped a beat. They turned their heads and saw it. Sure enough, I was standing right behind the zombie. Wu Talong couldn't help but ask, "You're not asleep? You guys are making so much noise. I'd have woken up even if I was dead to the world." Sleeping too soundly in a bedroom is a huge mistake. I've already trained myself to wake up at the slightest sound while I'm sleeping. Besides, I wasn't even asleep. Seeing the calm, composed smile on my face, Shui Bingqing suddenly cried out, "You knew about our plan all along, didn't you?" I shook my head. "I just know the two of you too well." Shui Bingqing didn't understand what I meant, but she still yelled to Wu Talong, "Honey, while the zombie has him busy, let's get out of here." "You mean her?" As they watched in disbelief, I reached out and patted the zombie on the head. It was a very affectionate gesture. And the zombie didn't even attack me. She just stood there and let me pet her. Wu Talong and Shui Bingqing both stammered, "How is that possible? Is this really a heartless zombie that only cares about biting people?" "All right, now that we're all caught up, it's time to deal with the two of you." Alarm bells started ringing in Wu Talong's head. He grabbed Shui Bingqing and pulled her in front of him, then gave her a violent shove. Shui Bingqing stumbled and fell right at my feet. She looked back, watching her husband run away with a look of pure shock on her face. She couldn't believe that Wu Talong would actually push her just to escape. Their physical abilities weren't even in the same league. I caught up to Wu Talong before he could even take 2 steps, and knocked him down from behind with a club. Wu Talong raised his hand, begging, "Wait, I have something to say." But I wasn't in the mood for talk. Shui Bingqing saw the dripping knife in my hand, and was scared out of her wits. Her survival instinct kicked in and she blurted out, "This was all Wu Talong's idea. He's the one who wanted to hurt you. It had nothing to do with me. Please, forgive me. I swear, from now on, I'll serve you like a king." Shui Bingqing was still hoping for a way out. She thought I wouldn't be able to bring myself to kill her. But all she heard was my cold, emotionless voice. "Are you finished?" Shui Bingqing trembled all over. She quickly looked up with a seductive smile. "Master, this servant knows she was wrong. Punish me however you like. Just spare my life. You're not sorry. You just know you're about to die. You brought all of this on yourself." The next day, fully armed, I took Lu Ruyan and left the apartment building on a motorcycle. Meanwhile, inside a teaching building at Binhai University, a group of students were huddled together in a classroom. They'd been trapped there for days. "Zhang Wei, Wu Chang, you two find food today." A guy dressed in designer brands spoke up. The two who were picked were not happy about it. "Why does it have to be us?" Even though the first-floor stairs were blocked, and the zombies outside couldn't get in, there were still plenty of zombies in the other classrooms. They didn't want to risk their lives. Du Yongsheng said bluntly, "I made the schedule. What, you got a problem with that?" Zhang Wei wanted to argue, but Wu Chang stopped him. "Forget it. He's the mayor's son. We're still waiting for his dad to send help. Better not to get on his bad side." After the two of them left the room, Du Yongxing walked over to a corner of the classroom. There stood a woman with an elegant aura and a graceful manner. "Yulan, I got in touch with my dad last night. He told her that the situation over there has mostly stabilized. It won't be long before he can send a team to rescue us. We'll be safe then." So Yulan was happy to hear that. "That's great."
Du Yangxing wartet zu Yulan Smile.
And he hesitated as he opened his mouth to speak. But he was interrupted by a woman who suddenly popped up. "Young Master Du, will all of us here be rescued?" This woman's name was Zhang Miao Miao. She was a gold digger who'd always dreamed of latching onto the Du family and marrying into wealth. Actually, just looking at her, she was only slightly less attractive than Su Yulan. But there was a huge gap in their temperaments. Su Yulan had the pure aura of a mountain orchid, elegant and noble, while Zhang Miao Miao reeked of nothing but tacky materialism. Du Yongsheng was never short on gold diggers, but someone like Su Yulan was a rare find. This made Du Yongsheng, who was used to cheap thrills, really want to try something different. That's why, in front of Su Yulan, he'd always maintained a polite, gentlemanly image. He was just playing to her tastes, to win her over. So, even though he was annoyed at being interrupted, Du Yongsheng still replied gently, "Don't worry, I would never abandon a single classmate." Just then, a loud rumbling sound came from outside. Every student in the classroom was instantly alert. They all rushed to the windows to look out.
Du Yangsheng looked ecstatic.
He hurried over to the window. "That's a motorcycle. It must be my dad's men." But unlike the fleet of vehicles he'd expected, there was only a single motorcycle. Only 2 people were on it. Zhang Miao Miao asked suspiciously, "Young Master Du, why did your dad only send 1 motorcycle? He's not just planning to save you and leave us, is he?" Everyone else immediately started panicking. In his head, Du Yangsheng was cursing. Zhang Miao Miao up and down. That bitch just doesn't know when to shut up. He reassured the crowd, "Don't worry, everyone. No one will be left behind. They're probably just scouts. Once they scout the area, they'll send the rest." The 2 on the motorcycle pulled to a stop in the middle of the sports field. A massive swarm of zombies was closing in behind them. They ditched the bike and ran in one direction. The one in the lead was carrying a baseball bat, knocking down every zombie in his path. As for the one following him, it was hard to tell, since they weren't fighting at all. They were just running along. I was just about to duck into a building, to shake the massive horde behind me. Suddenly, I heard someone open a window nearby. They shouted, "Over here!" I hesitated for a split second, then changed direction with Lu Ruyan, and ran toward them. The person saw me approaching, and stepped aside. I braced one hand on the window frame, and vaulted cleanly into the classroom. The whole move was smooth and effortless. Lu Ruyan was too stiff to climb through the window. She just stood there blankly outside. A few helpful male students saw this, about to step forward and lend a hand. But I pushed them back. "No need. I've got it." I leaned back out the window, and grabbed Lu Ruyan under her arms. Some of the faster zombies were closing in. The student quickly slammed the window shut, to block them out. A guy who practically radiated, an arrogant, self-important vibe, reached out to shake my hand. "You must be the one my dad sent to rescue us." I didn't take his hand. Instead, I asked, "Who are you?" The smile on Du Yangsheng's face froze instantly. He pointed to himself and introduced himself.
I am Du Yangsheng.
"Weren't you assigned a mission to come save me?" I shook my head. "I don't know you, and I didn't take any missions." Of course, I knew exactly who Du Yangsheng was. Not only did I know him, we were quite familiar. In my past life, Du Yangsheng constantly used all sorts of excuses to make me work. The supplies I'd risked my life to get were all taken by him under the guise of centralized management. He took every bit of it. Then he and his lackeys would help themselves, freely enjoying the fruits of everyone else's labor. Behind the scenes, he used food to divide the guys, and coerced the girls into trading favors for food. They were a bunch of absolute scumbags. Once I saw their true colors, I chose to leave. Before I left, I made sure to tell Su Yulan everything I'd seen. I wanted her to come with me. Unfortunately, Su Yulan was fooled by Du Yangsheng's nice guy act, and didn't believe a word I said. She thought I was just after her body, and was intentionally slandering him. I couldn't even defend myself, so I had to leave on my own. After I left, I found a decent enough shelter, and gathered plenty of supplies. But then, one day, Su Yulan showed up at my door. She was crying, saying Du Yangsheng was a monster, and that she regretted not leaving with me back then. It broke my heart to see her like that, and I actually opened the door for her. Thinking back on it now, a defenseless girl, crossing the entire campus, and navigating a dozen streets. It was obviously impossible, but I was just too young and naive back then. I got played like a fool. The reason I was pretending not to know him now was partly to embarrass him, and partly to wait for a chance at revenge.
Du Yangsheng's face darkened.
He'd just been bragging to everyone, and now he'd been proven a liar. He was really losing face. To save his dignity, he spoke in his leader voice. "So you mean, you're just an ordinary person, just like the rest of us? In that case, you should follow our rules. To ensure everyone's survival, please hand over your supplies. We will handle the distribution." "What does your survival have to do with me? I have no intention of joining your little group. So no, I'm not giving you my supplies." Du Yangsheng gave a cold laugh. He pointed at the window. "Then I'm sorry, but please leave." Of course, I wasn't going to do that. There are plenty of classrooms here. I'll pick one and stay for a few days, and then I'll be on my way. You don't need to worry about it. Right at that tense moment, a calm, cool voice came from the back of the crowd. What's going on here? I thought someone came to rescue us. I looked toward the source of the voice. I saw a woman in a floral dress with waist-length hair, and an ethereal look walk into the classroom. Du Yongsheng stepped forward to stand beside her. Yulan, this guy isn't from our school. He wants to stay here, so we're kicking him out.
Su Yulan frowned.
If he wants to stay, just let him stay. We have plenty of empty classrooms. Why do you have to drive him away? Du Yongsheng explained. Yulan, we don't know where he came from. It's dangerous. He could be a criminal or something. Even so, you can't just kick him out. You're practically sending him to his death.
Su Yulan stepped forward
and spoke to the students surrounding me. All right, everyone, break it up. The students looked at Du Yongsheng hesitantly. They only dispersed once Du Yongsheng gave a nod. They finally backed off. Are you two all right? Looking at the gentle smile in front of me, I couldn't help but feel a bit dazed. At this point, Su Yulan still couldn't stand the thought of anyone dying. She'd help anyone, even a total stranger. You could call that personality, kind, and it was one of her best traits. But in this post-apocalyptic world, this kind of indiscriminate kindness just made her look like a naive do-gooder. Still, in my past life, I fell for exactly that. That's why I'd opened the door for her in the first place. I just didn't think Su Yulan was capable of hurting me. But you never really know what someone's thinking. There's no telling how much a person can change. After everything they've been through, I snapped out of it and said naturally, we're fine. Su Yulan gave a small smile and glanced past me at Lu Ruyan. That's good. Is this your sister? She's beautiful. Sort of. Su Yulan was happy to see a new girl join them. Nearly 80% of the surviving students here were male. The gender ratio was severely unbalanced. Hello there, little girl. What's your name? But her warmth was met with Lu Ruyan's cold shoulder. He didn't get any response at all. Su Yulan was ignored. It was a bit awkward. Don't mind her, my sister can't speak. Oh, I see. Su Yulan looked at Lu Ruyan with sympathy in her eyes. She felt sorry for her in her heart. Such a beautiful girl, yet she can't talk. What a real shame. But Su Yulan also noticed something was wrong. Why is she staring at my neck like that? It looks like she's even salivating. And your sister's eyes are red, just like those zombies. Xiao Han first shook his head at Lu Ruyan to stop her from suddenly attacking Su Yulan. Then he lied to Su Yulan, saying she's wearing colored contacts. Su Yulan easily believed Xiao Han's words. Well, you guys can stay here for now. Floors 1 through 3 are safe. You can pick any empty classroom. But remember, everything from the 4th floor up is very dangerous. After explaining the precautions, Su Yulan then left.
Du Yongsheng glared fiercely at Xiao Han.
And then followed her out. Soon it was around 12 o'clock noon. In front of a classroom with warehouse written on the door, about a dozen students were all waiting to get their food for the day. Right then, everyone smelled a rich aroma of meat. The dozen or so people didn't even stay in line. They followed the scent and ran downstairs. Those 2 strangers from this morning were actually cooking. Everyone's eyes turned red with greed. They looked scarier than the zombies. Xiao Han served a bowl for Lu Ruyan. She immediately started digging in. Xiao Han served another bowl for himself and started enjoying his meal, completely ignoring the many eyes watching from outside. Du Yongxing wanted some too. He walked into the classroom. Hey friend, is something up? Xiao Han glanced at him sideways. Can I trade some of my food for yours? No way. Your biscuits and rice balls. Forget about the taste. They won't even fill you up. Xiao Han refused without a second thought. Du Yongxing tried to say something else, but Xiao Han just ignored him. Being ignored made a surge of anger rise in Du Yongxing. He gave a cold snort and walked out of the classroom. How'd it go? How'd it go? As soon as he came out, he was immediately surrounded by other students. Du Yongxing just shook his head. Immediately, a wave of groans went up. Xiao Han walked out of the classroom, the bowl in his hand, instantly grabbed everyone's attention. Want some? He said to the crowd. Everyone nodded eagerly.
Even Du Yongsheng nodded subconsciously.
Then he realized what he did and felt embarrassed. His face turned bright red. Good. I'm going to ask you a question. If anyone can answer it, this bowl of meat goes to them. Xiao Han asked him calmly. Which of you is an architecture major? Once the question was asked, everyone fell silent.
Xiao Han frowned.
Was the person he was looking for not here? Just then, a tiny voice came from the crowd. I'm an architecture major. The crowd split to make a path. The speaker was a girl with braided pigtails, wearing black-rimmed glasses. She looked a bit plain and old-fashioned. Being stared at by so many people, the girl was a bit nervous, but the craving for food overwhelmed the fear in her heart. Xiao Han looked at the girl with a skeptical eye. In his experience, majors like architecture and civil engineering were usually chosen by guys. After all, once you graduate from these two majors, you have to go to construction sites. For a girl, how could she handle the harsh environment of a site? Besides, looking so timid and shrinking, it was hard for Xiao Han to believe her professional skill level. She seemed to sense the contempt in Xiao Han's gaze. Dismissing her braids, the girl plucked up her courage. She blurted out, "My name is Shi Lu. I'm number 1 in my major. If you don't believe me, you can ask the other students. The reason I'm here is because I came to see a friend before the outbreak. I believe you, but can you draw blueprints?" Xiao Han didn't believe her for no reason, and it wasn't because he felt sorry for her. It was because in front of his eyes, a panel appeared that no one else could see.
Name, 11.
Architecture student. Affection 0. Initial reward, solar power equipment. Or sewage purification device, choose one. First kiss reward, surveillance system, including security cameras and alarms. Full conquest reward, 4 auto turrets. And 100 rounds of special ammo for them. Wow, these rewards are more useful one after another. If I can get all of them, the upgrade to the safe house would be huge. Hearing Xiao Han's question, Shilu nodded without hesitation. I can. Whether it's floor plans or cross-sections, I can do them all. Good. I'm hiring you. The pay is a bowl of meat and a bowl of veggies every day. Shilu originally thought she'd be lucky to even get a little bit of meat. She didn't expect there would be vegetables too. She immediately accepted the job.
Xiao Ang guachta jubelenton
Thinking to himself, a top student like Shilu would definitely join a major design institute after graduating. Now, using just a bit of food, he could get her to work her life away for him. This deal is a steal. Both sides felt like they'd hit the jackpot. While someone was happy, someone else wasn't. Du Yangxing's teeth were itching with hatred. After giving a look to his lackey, he left. The lackey followed behind him. The two of them reached the stairs. Ganwei first glanced around. Making sure no one followed, he said, "Young Master Du, this outsider is so arrogant. He clearly has no respect for you. Should we?" "No. You saw his skills against the zombies earlier today. You're no match for him," Du Yangxing said after a moment of thought. Ganwei was very indignant. He thought knowing how to fight zombies wasn't much of a skill. Those slow and stiff zombies, he could handle them too. It's just the risk of infection that's tricky. Leave him alone for now. He only has a backpack full of food. It'll only last 2 days at most. Ganwei wanted to say more, but Du Yangxing had already walked off. Ganwei watched his back and snorted. When it comes down to it, it's all just for a woman. You've got plenty to eat and drink, so you don't care about his food. But I'm still starving. No way. I have to find a way to get my hands on his supplies.
11 finished eating.
Licking her lips, still wanting more. Xiao Han saw this and asked, "Want some more?" Shilu shook her head, rubbing her belly contentedly. "No thanks. If I eat any more, my stomach will hurt. Besides, I've already finished today's pay. If I overdraw tomorrow's, I'll go hungry tomorrow." Xiao Han was stunned when he heard this. Then he noticed Shi Li's affection level jumped by 10 points. He suddenly felt a sense of guilt, like an evil capitalist exploiting a naive employee. He shook his head, pushing the messy thoughts aside. "Then let's get to work. How long will it take you to draw it?" Without looking up, Shilu replied, "Depends. A professional architect, drawing a standard 30 square meter design, can usually finish one in a day. But with your special requirements, it'll take about 10 days or so, plus another 2 or 3 days for revisions." Xiao Han frowned and did the math. There's only a little over a week left before the cold snap. If they can't move into the safe house before then, they'll be stuck in this drafty school building freezing. Xiao Han didn't want that. "I need you to finish the drawings within 7 days. Shilu hesitated at first, then her eyes turned determined. "No problem. 7 days it is." Xiao Han thought for a moment, and felt it was necessary to add something else. "By the way, can you leave space for 4 more turrets on the blueprints?" Shilu nodded upon hearing that. "If you have any other requirements, let me know." Xiao Han checked Shi Li's affection level. Luckily, it hadn't dropped. It meant She didn't resent him for being a difficult client. I'll let you get to work. I'm gonna look around. Leaving Shi Lu to draw in the classroom alone, Xiao Han started walking around with Lu Ruyan. He stood at every window, looking outside, to find a suitable spot for the safe house. Finally, Xiao Han decided. The location for the safe house would be right between the school and the back mountain. There were two main reasons. Compared to the playground, the spot is much more hidden. There are buildings in front and skyscrapers behind. It's hard to spot without actually entering the school. There are plenty of bandits in the apocalypse who rob others. You have to be on guard against that. Also, their numbers are still quite low. Unless you're really unlucky, you usually won't run into them. Then Xiao Han picked up his baseball bat and started clearing out the nearby zombies. Xiao Han carefully approached the nearest one, a zombie schoolgirl. He ambushed her from behind and smashed the back of her head with a swing. With that one hit, the zombie girl stopped moving instantly, but the noise he made still attracted for other zombies. Suddenly, a zombie's gaping, bloody mouth clamped down on Xiao Han's baseball bat. The two of them were locked in a struggle. Right then, Aslan, her hand grabbed the zombie's neck and tossed it away. The owner of that hand was Lu Ruyan, who had been just standing there, blankly watching the show. No time to think. The zombie that got thrown let out a roar and charged at Xiao Han again. Xiao Han scrambled up from the ground, grabbing his bat to fight back. But the figure beside him was even faster. Stepping forward, she grabbed the zombie's neck again. There was a loud crack. The zombie's head tilted as it collapsed to the ground. Holy crap! Xiao Han never expected that the fragile-looking Lu Ruyan would actually be this strong. Looks like my guess was right. Lu Ruyan really has evolved. Back then, Xiao Han saw her skin change from pale gray to slightly rosy, and that's when he had a hunch. Now it was finally confirmed. Xiao Han opened the system panel. It showed that Lu Ruyan's affection rose by 10. It had climbed from 40 to 50. Next, it'll depend on whether Shi Lu can finish the drawings in time. That's enough for today. A few corpses were scattered along the way back. About a dozen in total. Xiao Han had taken out most of them. Lu Ruyan only stepped in when she saw Xiao Han's life was in danger. Otherwise, she just watched. The rest of the time, she was a silent observer. It gave Xiao Han a feeling that she didn't act for his sake. It was more like she was protecting her food. It seems if I want to command her, I'll have to keep raising her affection level. When Xiao Han and Lu Ruyan returned to the second floor classroom, Shi Lu was still buried in her work. With such a dedicated attitude, Xiao Han even wondered if he should increase her pay. Giving just a bowl of meat and a bowl of potatoes seemed a bit unfair. Hearing footsteps nearby, Shi Lu paused for a second. Seeing it was Xiao Han, she went back to her drawing. Just as Xiao Han was about to say something, he saw Su Yulan walk in from outside. What are you doing here? Seeing this woman who had betrayed him, Xiao Han's mood immediately soured.
Su Yulan phoned Xiao An's
Tone of voice a bit strange, but she didn't think too much of it. She just thought he was wary of strangers. I came to see if you guys needed any blankets. No thanks, he refused with a cold expression. Although Su Yulan was rejected, she didn't get angry. Instead, she looked at Lu Ruyan curiously. What have you two been up to? Why are you covered in blood? You're not hurt, are you? This isn't our blood. Su Yulan was stunned for a moment. Then she realized he'd gone to clear out zombies. Well, do you want to wash up? Xiao Han was going to refuse, but then he thought about it. Having this on him really was uncomfortable. There's a restroom at the end of the hall. You can go wash up there. Got it.
Xiao An walked around Su Yulan.
Carrying his backpack to the restroom, he went into the men's room on the left and was about to strip. When he saw Lu Ruyan follow him in, Xiao Han felt a bit awkward. He shook his head and told himself to forget it. She's just a zombie. I'll just act like she's not there. After washing the blood off himself, he gave his clothes a quick wash too. He thought about it. Ever since he was reborn, Lu Ruyan seemed to have been wearing that JK uniform. He didn't know if zombies sweat, but the recent battle had left her fair, delicate face and slender limbs covered in blood. It gave her a kind of seductive beauty. Worried about the smell, Xiao Han decided to wash Lu Ruyan too.
Lu Ruyan stared straight at Xiao Han.
Though he knew she had no concept of gender, Xiao Han's face still turned slightly red. He cleared his throat and led Lu Ruyan to the faucet. Lu Ruyan kept her eyes on him. Those innocent eyes and helpless expression always made Xiao Han feel guilty, like he was bullying a little girl. Xiao Han bit his lip and quickly untied Lu Ruyan's bow, then gave her a fast wash. He took 3 minutes for his own bath But Lu Ruyan's probably didn't even take a minute. Xiao Han was drenched in sweat, feeling like this was more exhausting than killing a dozen zombies. Finally, it was over. There, you should feel better now. Xiao Han looked up and met Lu Ruyan's gaze. He saw her looking at him with bright, focused eyes. Unlike before, this time, Xiao Han could see a flicker of emotion in her eyes. Xiao Han leaned in for a closer look. But the next second, Lu Ruyan's body pressed directly against his.
Xia Han.
Hadn't expected Lu Ruyan to suddenly ambush him, so he didn't dodge at all. The last thought in his head was, I knew I couldn't trust a zombie. But instead of the frantic biting he imagined, a soft, slightly sweet sensation came from his lips. Xiao Han opened his eyes. His eyes were full of shock, staring in surprise at the zombie girl kissing him, until the mechanical voice of the system rang out, finally bringing him back to his senses. Reward for the kiss, zombie virus vaccine. Provides immunity to virus infection after injection. Xiao Han's hand felt heavy. An extra vial of green injection had appeared. He grabbed Lu Ruyan's shoulders. The smooth touch made his heart flutter. He quickly pushed her away. But a moment later, she pressed against him again. Xiao Han could only hold her off with one hand. To see the panel in front of him. Name Lu Ruyan. Status: female college student. Cosplay enthusiast. Affection: 60. Full conquest reward: gene purification potion. Xiao Han didn't expect Lu Ruyan's affection would jump to 60, reaching the like stage. That explained why Lu Ruyan kissed him. Xiao Han closed the system panel. He looked at Lu Ruyan, who was still trying to snuggle up, and asked, Do you have feelings now? Lu Ruyan tilted her head, looking quite adorable. Xiao Han figured she couldn't understand such complex words, so he switched to a simpler question. Can you understand what I'm saying? This time, Lu Ruyan understood. She nodded happily. Great. Xiao Han was incredibly excited. He tried asking a few more questions. But for anything slightly complex, Lu Ruyan would just go blank. In that case, having her act on her own was still pretty much impossible. But with some training, and if he was there to watch her, she could probably carry out some simple tasks. Plus, as her affection rises, maybe, she really could fully regain her human emotions. Then she'd definitely understand more complex orders. But for now, they should just get out of the restroom first. Xiao Han put on his backpack and walked out of the restroom with Lu Ruyan. Right as they came out at the corner, they bumped into Su Yulan. Are you guys done washing? I have some girls' clothes here. I got them from some other girls. I figured you could use them. From the bottom of his heart, Xiao Han didn't want to accept help from Su Yulan. It would make him go soft when it was time for revenge. So Xiao Han took a pack of biscuits from his bag. I'll trade you these for them. No need, it's the least I could do. Before Su Yulan could even finish, Xiao Han forced the biscuits into her hand. Su Yulan didn't know what to say, but Xiao Han had already left with Lu Ruyan. She stood there, a bit disappointed. She just wanted to help this pair of siblings from outside. But Xiao Han kept refusing her kindness. It made Su Yulan feel a sense of defeat. Back in the classroom, Xiao Han inserted the needle into his arm and injected the whole vial of medicine. After waiting for half an hour, Xiao Han didn't feel any adverse reaction. This made him wonder if he'd injected an expired vaccine. To test if the vaccine worked, Xiao Han held his arm out in front of Lu Ruyan. Come on, take a bite. But careful, don't take too big a bite. And whatever you do, don't tear at it. This move was undoubtedly extremely dangerous. If the vaccine didn't work, Xiao Han was done for. But Xiao Han still chose to trust the system. Since the system said that the vaccine gives immunity to the zombie infection, then it definitely will. If you get the shot and still live in fear of being bitten, then what was the point of getting it? Might as well use this chance to test it out. Lu Ruyan vaguely understood what Xiao Han meant. She opened her mouth and bit down on his forearm. But Xiao Han didn't feel any pain from his skin being broken. Instead, it felt like a soft, warm brush sweeping back and forth across his hand. Xiao Han pulled his arm away and saw a big patch of drool on it. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I told you to bite me. Get it? Like, rawr. After Xiao Han's demonstration, Lu Ruyan finally understood. She took a real bite. A tooth mark was left on Xiao Han's arm, and bright red blood started to seep out. Next came the waiting. Xiao Han silently kept time in his head. Generally speaking, depending on a person's physique, the zombie virus takes anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 minutes to kick in. So Xiao Han counted for a full 30 minutes. Once he was sure he wasn't infected, He was overcome with excitement. This is great. His only worry, getting infected, was finally solved. Now zombies were even less of a threat to him. Of course, if he got surrounded by a huge pack, it would still be pretty dangerous. One bite from each of them and he'd be nothing but bones. Late at night, two figures were moving stealthily down the hallway. By the light of the moon, their faces were vaguely visible. It was Ganwei. As time went on, and no one came to rescue them, Ganwei was starting to have doubts. So he decided to go ahead with his own plan. What if young Master Du blames us? Let him. Worst case, we'll just take him out too. Ganwei was dead serious when he said that. Seeing that he wasn't joking, the other guy said, "Are you crazy? Do you want to stay here forever? Meng Han, haven't you realized it yet? It's been this long and no one's come for us. What does that tell you?" Meng Han looked totally lost, like an idiot. "It means nobody's coming." Ganwei's tone was full of frustration. "No way. His dad is the mayor. Believe what you want. Anyway, we've got to look out for ourselves." Meng Hai stood there hesitating. His expression kept changing. Seeing this, Ganwei added fuel to the fire. "Don't you want to run this camp yourself? Don't you want to stop being hungry? Don't you want to get with girls like Su Yulan? Zhang Miao Miao and those girls are dating." Ganwei's low voice echoed in the stairwell, like a devil's whisper. "Meng Hai, I only asked you to come along, because I consider you a brother. If you don't want to, you can go back now." Meng Hai snapped his head up, only to find that Ganwei had closed the distance without him noticing. Behind his back, he was holding a pair of stainless steel nunchucks. A dangerous glint flashed in his eyes. Meng Hai didn't doubt for a second that if he turned around, Ganwei would bash his brains in. On one side was Du Yongxing's unrealistic promise. On the other was real temptation and a threat to his life. It was obvious what Meng Hai would choose. "Fine. I'm in." Ganwei immediately flashed a smile and gave his hand a firm shake. He was a true master of the quick change. Smart choice. Now that they'd picked a side, the two of them headed down the stairs. Along the second-floor hallway, they crept toward the classroom where Xiao Han was. "This is it. I'll go in first. You follow me." Both the front and back doors were locked from the inside. But that wouldn't stop Ganwei, who had plenty of experience cutting class. He braced himself against the window, fiddled with it and pushed it open. Then he vaulted inside. He landed without a sound. Meng Hai wasn't as agile as Ganwei. To avoid making noise, he stepped one leg over and sat on the sill, then brought the other leg over. Just as he was about to get down, he noticed a small figure in the classroom, standing straight up. Ganwei turned around, alert, but it was too late. All he felt was a sharp pain in his chest. A slender arm had pierced right through him. Meng Hai was scared out of his wits. He forgot to scream, and forgot to run. He just stared blankly. Not until the mysterious girl walked toward him did he snap out of it and think to run. But before he could even turn around, he felt that same pain in his chest. He followed right in Ganwei's footsteps. In just a few seconds, there were two more bodies in the classroom. The two of them died so fast, they didn't make a sound. Naturally, Xiao Han didn't wake up. The next day, Xiao Han woke up. Seeing him awake, Lu Ruyen held up her hand to show him. Then she looked toward the window. Xiao Han followed her gaze and saw one person on the floor and another slumped against the window. Both had a gaping hole in their chests. There was a pair of nunchucks on the floor by the bodies. Xiao Han understood everything instantly. He stood up and patted her head. "I get it. Thanks. I'll make you something good to eat later." Before the others woke up,
Chia Han
shoved the two bodies out the window. An hour later, Du Yongxing, with a face Xiao Han hated, appeared at the classroom door. As soon as he saw Xiao Han, he barked, "Where's Ganwei?" Xiao Han played dumb. "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know who Ganwei is. You think I'm gonna believe that? He doesn't go missing sooner or later. But he disappears the very first day you're here? Who else could it be but you? If someone's missing, you should go post a flyer. Don't come here throwing a tantrum." The sound of their arguing attracted a crowd of students. Su Yulan and Zhang Miao Miao were among them. "What's going on?"
Du Yangsheng tone softened slightly.
But he was still blunt. "Ganwei and Meng Hai are gone. Maybe they went out to look for supplies?"
Du Yangsheng said firmly, "Impossible."
"They wouldn't leave without my orders." Xiao Han took the chance to chime in. "How are you so sure they'd listen to you? Maybe they've been fed up with you for a long time. Maybe they skipped town while you were sleeping." Du Yangxing's eyes turned red with rage. He wanted to settle things with Xiao Han right then and there. But while he was okay at scheming, he wasn't much of a fighter. By himself, he was no match for Xiao Han. He'd have to go back and get some backup first.
Su Yu.
Lan tried to de-escalate the tension. They probably just had something to do outside. They'll be back later. Let's just be patient. Du Yongsheng took the out she gave him. I'll trust Yulan this once. If they aren't back by tonight, I'm coming to you for an explanation. After throwing out that threat, Du Yongsheng turned and left with a cold face. Su Yulan said to the other onlookers, "It's nothing. Everyone, disperse." Once the crowd cleared out,
she nodded to Xiao Han
and went back to her own business. Meanwhile, Xiao Han and Lu Ruyen started their zombie clearing for the day. But he heard a faint shouting in the distance. Xiao Han leaned on his bat and looked over. In a window of a large building, a woman was screaming her head off. Xiao Han couldn't help but criticize. She's got a death wish. In the apocalypse, screaming like that is incredibly stupid. Xiao Han knew she was trying to get his attention, but he had no intention of saving her. However, the woman's shouting ended up helping Xiao Han out. The zombies in the clearing heard the noise and slowly started shuffling toward the sound. It saved Xiao Han some effort. Xiao Han said to Lu Ruyen, "Let's go. We can wrap up early today." Ning Xiao was frantic when she saw them leaving. She shouted even louder, "Wait! Where are you going? Can't you hear me calling for help?" The zombies below were already packed several layers deep. Those in the back stepped on those in front, gradually piling up like a mountain. But Ning Xiao was on the third floor, so she didn't have to worry about them climbing up yet. Instead, it was the dean outside the bathroom who was the real threat. He was banging on the door even harder. The loud thuds snapped Ning Xiao's attention back. Realizing that if she kept screaming, the dean would definitely break in. She had no choice but to shut up. The worst disappointment isn't having no hope from the start. It's having hope given and then taken away. Ning Xiao crouched down, hugging her knees and crying. Since she didn't dare make a sound, she could only weep silently. Her shoulders shook every now and then. Back in the classroom,
Xiao An asquedonsele.
"Did you hear a woman screaming just now?"
11 le nodded.
"I did. Sounded like Ms. Ning." "Ms. Ning? You know her." Sheila spoke in a flat tone, as if talking about a complete stranger. "She's our school nurse. I've been to the clinic a few times. She helped me out before. Do you want me to save her?" Xiao Han's question made Shi Li's hand on the mouse pause for a second. Clearly, he wasn't as cold as he looked. "I just think she might be useful to you." Shi Lu had already figured out Xiao Han's personality. He only kept people who were useful to him. Shi Lu saw that very clearly. And he didn't think there was anything wrong with that. If he were in Xiao Han's shoes, he'd do the same thing. Shi Lu added one more thing. "By the way, that building is the administration building. There's a lot of fire equipment there. That could be used as weapons." "Got it." Xiao Han didn't tell Shi Lu his decision. Instead, he took Lu Ruyen to get cleaned up.
11 le SIs.
Moved from the laptop screen to the building in the distance.
11 le whispered, MS Ning.
"I've done what I can. Good luck with the rest." 2 more days passed. The number of student survivors had dropped again. When Xiao Han first arrived, there were about 50 students left. Now, there were probably only around 30. The drop in numbers caused a sense of panic to spread through the school building. They didn't know if they could hold out until help arrived. The innocence typical of college students quickly vanished. In its place was a beastly ferocity. Most people started intentionally hoarding food, and they looked at others with extreme suspicion, as if everyone was trying to steal their food. The only ones living comfortably were Xiao Han's group. They ate roasted potatoes and stew every meal, making everyone else incredibly jealous.
Du Yongsheng was baffled.
How did Xiao Han's food never seem to run out? He had so many people, and his supply warehouse was almost empty. How could Xiao Han keep pulling food out of a single backpack? It was just too weird. One day, Xiao Han said to the hardworking Shi Lu, "Keep an eye on her for me. I need to head out." Shi Lu was a bit surprised. Xiao Han and his sister Lu Ruyen were practically inseparable. Why leave her behind all of a sudden? Xiao Han saw his confusion and explained, "I'm going to the admin building for gear. It's not convenient to take her."
11 le understood.
There were so many zombies between the buildings. Continuation, carving a path through them would be impossible. The only way was to circle around the playground. In that case, it really wasn't a good idea to bring her. "Understood. I'll take good care of your sister." Xiao Han gave him a weird look. Who's protecting whom? But Xiao Han didn't say anything else, and got ready to leave. Before he left, he looked back and asked Shilu, "By the way, what's the full name of that Ms. Ning?" Shilu was stunned for a moment, then looked delighted.
Ning Qiao.
Her full name is Ning Xiao.
Xiya Han nodded.
He'd thought about it. If what Shilu said was true, and she really was the school nurse, then she was worth saving. After all, Xiao Han wasn't made of steel. He could get hurt or sick too. The reason he didn't save her right away, and waited 2 days, was to let her fall into total despair. That way, when he finally showed up, she would be eternally grateful to him. He didn't want an employee who'd throw tantrums, or potentially betray him. He wanted someone who'd follow his lead, do what he says, and never ask questions. A subordinate or even a servant. To achieve that, he had to make Ning Xiao realize that he was the only one who would save her. To get from the school building to the admin building, you had to follow the paved road by the playground, and make a turn in the middle. Xiao Han stayed on the side near the playground, moving carefully and quickly. Fortunately, Binhai University's landscaping was great. There were trees on both sides of the road, and bushes for cover. So neither the zombies on the road nor those in the field noticed him. It only took Xiao Han half an hour to reach the east side of the playground. Then he crouched in the bushes to scope things out. In front of him was an open area, no cover in between. His destination, a red cabinet, labeled as a micro-fire station, was right against the wall of the admin building. But there were zombies wandering the open ground. Sneaking up from behind, and taking them all out was impossible. He had to make it quick. Xiao Han took a deep breath, and sprinted toward the fire station like a cheetah. The zombies closest to him were far enough away that he just ignored them. But for those in his way, Xiao Han just knocked them down with his bat, or shoved them aside to clear the path. The zombies spotted him and let out a roar, closing in like a fishing net. Seeing this, Xiao Han kicked it into high gear, breaking through before they could surround him. Finally, he reached his destination. When he saw the fire station, he nearly coughed up blood. "Are you kidding me? What idiot locked the fire station?" According to regulations, school fire stations aren't allowed to be locked. He looked out of the corner of his eye. The zombies were right on his tail, only 10 meters away. Screw it. Xiao Han kicked the glass door hard. It webbed with cracks. Another kick and he broke a hole in it. Ignoring the sharp glass shards, he reached inside and grabbed what he could. 2 walkie-talkies, a fire axe, and an escape rope. He took it all. By now, the zombies were less than 3 meters away. Without even turning around, Xiao Han could hear their heavy footsteps and wheezing. Behind him, he grabbed a flashlight and bolted into the admin building. Inside the bathroom in the dean's office, Ning Xiao's consciousness was starting to fade. She muttered, "Whoever it is, please, save me." She thought she heard a door opening outside, followed by a roar that was cut short. She figured she was hallucinating, until the bathroom door was kicked open with a bang, slamming against the wall. A thought flashed through Ning Xiao's mind. Did a zombie get in? Whatever, just end it. I can't take this anymore. It'd be a waste to die now. I'm not too late, am I? Ning Xiao's eyes snapped open. She shouted with all her might, "I'm alive! Save me!" Light flooded the bathroom like a holy ray from heaven. A tall man stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the light like a god. Ning Xiao was momentarily dazed. Xiao Han tossed her a baseball bat. He picked up the fire axe and said, "Can you move? If you want to live, grab a weapon." Ning Xiao thought he'd come specifically for her, and she'd just have to follow him. She didn't expect to have to fight, but he was her only hope. If he left her behind, there was no way she'd survive. Ning Xiao bit her lip and used the wall to stand up. "I can do it. Then follow me." Xiao Han led her out of the room. A middle-aged, balding zombie had been following the noise, coming from the office, and was closing in. Ning Xiao clutched the bat nervously. "It's Mr. Wang." Xiao Han lunged forward. One swing of the axe into the zombie's head, sinking nearly 10 centimeters deep. The zombie stopped moving instantly. Xiao Han genuinely marveled. "This thing is great." Ning Xiao was shocked. Xiao Han's zombie killing was so effortless. By the time she snapped out of it, he was already several steps ahead. She hurried to catch up. There were plenty of zombies on the stairs, all of whom had followed Xiao Han in. Xiao Han said calmly, "Stay close."
Ning Qiao nodded instinctively.
She didn't even realize how much she'd already started to rely on him. To her, Xiao Han was like a god of war clearing the way. Those terrifying zombies were like sitting ducks in front of him. In just a few minutes, a layer of zombie corpses covered the stairs. Ning Xiao couldn't help but stare in awe. Xiao Han's image grew more imposing and sacred in his heart. Suddenly, something grabbed his ankle. Ning Xiao jumped in fright. He quickly looked down. There was a female zombie by his feet with half her face missing, wearing a professional business suit. Ning Xiao recognized her. It was his former colleague, Alan. But she didn't recognize him. She was still snapping her jaws.
Ning Xiao frose.
His legs were shaking like leaves. He looked at Xiao Han imploringly, but he just stood there, completely indifferent. You've got a weapon. Don't be afraid. Xiao Han's simple words helped Ning Xiao calm down. I got it. Ning Xiao raised the baseball bat over his head. I'm sorry, he whispered in his heart. Then he closed his eyes and swung down hard. Zombie fluid splashed onto his face, making him snap his eyes open. Seeing that she wasn't moving anymore, his mind went totally blank. There was only a ringing in his ears. I did it, Ning Xiao muttered to himself. Xiao Han watched everything coldly. Letting that female zombie through was clearly intentional on his part. He wanted to use this cruel and direct method to make Ning Xiao toughen up quickly.
She Han nodded.
With his approval, Ning Xiao felt an unprecedented surge of joy. The administrative building was now clear of zombies. Now it was time to head back the way they came. They're back, Shilu shouted excitedly from the window. They're back. Lu Ruyan stood beside her with a backpack. You couldn't tell how she felt, just by looking at her expressionless face. But her eyes never left the moving dots. As they quickly grew larger, it was like only one figure existed in her world. A crowd of students gathered around them to watch. Zhang Miao Miao's eyes sparkled in the crowd. I knew I wasn't wrong. That's the kind of person who survives the apocalypse. Counting last time,
She Han.
had already led people through the zombies twice. If he could do that with people, he could do it with supplies. It'd be just as easy, maybe even easier. At that thought, Zhang Miao Miao felt a twinge of envy toward Shilu. Why did she get to latch on to such a powerful backer so easily? Just because she's an architecture major? Zhang Miao Miao clenched her fists. She made up her mind. No way. I'll make him fall head over heels for me. He'll be working for me. Xiao Han and Ning Xiao had reached the window. Shilu was about to open the window, but someone beat her to it. Shilu thought it was Lu Ruyan, but when she turned, Lu Ruyan hadn't moved. It was Zhang Miao Miao, who pushed open the window and reached out to Xiao Han. But Xiao Han didn't take her hand. Instead, he vaulted through the window in one move. Ning Xiao, however, took Zhang Miao Miao's hand and climbed in with a struggle. The other students crowded around Ning Xiao. Everyone was talking at once. It was obvious that Ning Xiao was popular with the students. For one, as a teacher, he was the only adult there. Secondly, most of them had been treated by him before. They all liked the gentle school doctor. Su Yulan spoke with Ning Xiao for a bit, then walked over to Xiao Han. She gave him a deep bow. Thank you for saving Dr. Ning. I knew I wasn't wrong about you. You're a good person.
She Han just snorted.
He didn't even bother to argue. He just headed upstairs with Lu Ruyan. Seeing Xiao Han leave, Ning Xiao left the students and hurried after him. Wait for me. Isn't Dr. Ning always so polite? Doesn't he usually care about his students? Why did he just ditch us and run off? The students looked at each other, confused. They had no idea what was up with him. In the second-floor classroom, four women appeared at the door together. Shilu adjusted her glasses, eyeing the other three. Seriously, you guys? Of the four, she was the only one who really belonged there. The others felt a bit awkward. Zhang Miao Miao, being the thickest-skinned, explained casually, I'm just looking for Xiao Han. Ning Xiao only just realized what his savior's name was. As an adult, handling this awkward situation was easy enough for him. I came specifically to thank Xiao Han. After all, he saved my life. The three of them all turned to look at Su Yulan in the back. Su Yulan didn't really know why she followed them either. The classroom door opened from the inside. Lu Ruyan was standing there. Shilu, thinking she was closer to Lu Ruyan, gave a warm greeting. Hey, Ruyan. I'm here for dinner. She walked in with her head held high. And she went. Then Ning Xiao and Zhang Miao Miao followed. Su Yulan let out a sigh of relief. She hesitated at the door for a moment, then made up an excuse for herself. I better go in, just to make sure Zhang Miao Miao doesn't start anything. Xiao Han was sitting by the pot. He was a bit surprised by the crowd, but he quickly went back to what he was doing. He opened the lid. A delicious aroma filled the whole room. All four women smelled it, and couldn't help but salivate. Xiao Han scooped a bowl for himself first, then one for Lu Ruyan. The others watched her with envy. We're all women here. Why does she get hers first? But then they remembered who she was. It made sense. It's only natural for a brother to look after his sister. Boss, Sheila spoke up, I'm here for today's pay,
Shi Yahan nodded.
and gave her a bowl as well. As she ate, she shot smug looks at the others. Ever since she saw them at the door, she'd been feeling a sense of dread. That feeling came from her own insecurity. The other women were all stunning, especially Su Yulan and Lu Ruyan. They were total knockouts. Ning Xiao had the best figure, and that gentle big sister vibe. Young guys would be all over that. Zhang Miao Miao wasn't bad either, and was also a hit with the guys. Only Shi Lu felt like a plain country girl. She was terrified that once she wasn't useful, Xiao Han would just dump her. Knowing him, she knew that was a real possibility. That's why she was trying so hard. To show off just how close she was with Xiao Han and Lu Ruyan. Ning Xiao had been starving for days. He was running on pure willpower. The smell of the food broke him instantly. He could barely keep his eyes off the pot. With what little logic he had left, he dragged his eyes away and looked at Xiao Han. Your name is Xiao Han, right? Thank you for saving me. Truly thank you. It was so chaotic before that Xiao Han hadn't really looked at her. Now he finally got a good look at Ning Xiao. Long brown-dyed hair, she had the charm of a mature woman. Her beauty was verified by the system. Name Ning Xiao. Role, school doctor. Favorability, 50. Initial reward, medical kit. Includes hemostatic spray, anti-inflammatories, disinfectants, 30 types of meds, and medical textbooks. From undergrad to PhD levels. KISS reward, zombie virus vaccine. Full conquest reward, medical room and equipment. Since they hadn't even touched hands, he hadn't received the initial reward. But a starting favorability of 50 was already incredibly high. It blew Shi Lu out of the water, and was second only to Lu Ruyan. Xiao Han looked away. Hungry.
Ning Xiao nodded.
Work for me, Xiao Han said. I'll give you the same deal as her. A bowl of meat and potatoes every day. Shi Lu stopped eating when she heard that. She froze. Suddenly, the meat didn't taste so good anymore. Ning Xiao didn't hesitate. You got it. Xiao Han handed her a bowl too. She immediately started wolfing it down. She was clearly starving. She ate almost as fast as Lu Ruyan. Xiao Han turned his attention to the other two. Both of them fit the system's criteria. First was Zhang Miao Miao. Role, materialistic student. Favorability, 10. Initial reward, a car. First kiss reward, 100 SQM property. Full conquest. Property expanded to 1,000 SQM.
Shi Yahan noted.
That the car could be civilian, or military grade. Anything from sports cars to off-roaders, or even armored trucks and tanks. The property was a nice bonus too. It could double the size of his safe house. Guess I really should get to know this Zhang Miao Miao. Then there was Su Yulan. In his past life, she was his only target. Role, art student, pianist. Initial reward, piano skills. First kiss. Reward, a collection of sheet music. Full conquest reward, all artistic talents. Her rewards were still as useless as ever. Xiao Han lost interest after one glance. He turned back to Zhang Miao Miao. Zhang Miao Miao caught the shift in his expression immediately. She was thrilled. It looked like Xiao Han was more interested in her than Su Yulan. She ran a hand through her hair, her eyes full of charm. Excuse me, she said flirtatiously. Can I work for you too?
Shi Yahan nodded.
Sure. The pay is the same as theirs. Thanks, boss, she chirped. When she took the bowl, she accidentally brushed her fingers against his. Then she gave him a wink. Shi Lu, standing right behind Xiao Han, saw everything. What a fox, Sheila muttered under her breath. Getting 3 girls to work for him for just a pot of meat. Who would have thought that was possible before? Xiao Han looked at Su Yulan, the last one. Before he could say anything, she spoke up. I'm not looking for work. I wanted to ask if you have any extra food to share with the students. Xiao Han gave a faint smile. Do you really think anyone in this world thinks they have too much food? Su Yulan started to say something but stopped. She thought he was a good person, but he'd shot her down without a second thought. If that's all, you can leave now. Xiao Han was clearly showing her the door. Su Yulan had no reason to stay any longer. She lowered her head clenched her fists, and walked out. Watching her walk away, as her roommate and classmate, Zhang Miao Miao felt a little bad for her. She's still so naive. Once they finished eating, Xiao Han asked Shilu, "How are those safe house blueprints coming along?" "Almost," Shilu answered quickly. "Just some final checking, and some minor tweaks left." Shilu brought her laptop over. A floor plan was on the screen, with labels for the living area, the storage room, and others. Even the ventilation and plumbing were mapped out. Everything was perfectly to scale. Even to a layman like Xiao Han, it looked professional. "Looks good. No changes needed. Finish it up by tomorrow." Hearing the praise, Shilu was happy, but she still felt a bit down. There was a nagging sense of disappointment. "Starting tomorrow," Xiao Han added, "I've got a new job for you. I need you to expand the safe house design. Another 100 square meters. It needs a garden, livestock area, and a prison. As for the deadline, let's say within 2 weeks." Shili's head snapped up, her eyes wide with excitement. She'd been worried that once she finished the design, she'd be useless, that she'd be heartlessly thrown away. That fear had even made her want to stall her work. But in the end, her professional ethics won out, and she'd finished early. Xiao Han's words now finally allowed her to relax. At least she wouldn't be dumped anytime soon. Xiao Han turned to Zhang Miao Miao. Zhang Miao Miao's heart raced. She managed to flash him a pretty smile. "Come with me for a minute. I need to go over your job description." Zhang Miao Miao was incredibly reluctant, but after eating his food, she didn't dare say no. She tried to stall. "Is it urgent, boss? Can't we just rest first?" Shi Lu was already annoyed with her, and she'd love more work. Seeing Zhang Miao Miao trying to get out of it, she said, "If she doesn't want to, plenty of people will. Let me do it." Zhang Miao Miao nodded quickly. "Yeah, let her. I need to get ready." Xiao Han shook his head.
No.
"Only you can do this job."
Xia Han.
Categorized these women differently in his head. The top tier was definitely Lu Ruyan. Just for the fact that she'd never betray him, she earned that spot. Not to mention, she was the only one who could actually fight. Next were Shi Lu and Ning Xiao. They were useful assets. Normally, he could build up their favorability toward him, but he didn't need to get emotionally attached. He still kept his guard up. Someone like Zhang Miao Miao was the lowest tier. He could just dump her after getting the first few rewards. Of course, if she behaved, he might keep her around as a maid. Zhang Miao Miao knew she was trapped. She resigned herself and followed behind Xiao Han. "What about me?" Ning Xiao asked anxiously. "What should I do?" "Your time will come," Xiao Han said slowly. "For now, just keep an eye on Lu Ruyan. Don't let her follow me." After they left, a frustrated Shi Lu said to Ning Xiao, "Dr. Ning, what kind of job can only she do? Why can't I do it?" Shi Lu had never even been in a relationship, so she didn't catch the subtext between the two. She was just annoyed, convinced that she could do anything better than Zhang Miao Miao. Ning Xiao wasn't much more experienced than Shi Lu, but he was more mature. He might not have eaten the pork, but he'd certainly seen them run. But he couldn't exactly spell it out for her. "Everyone has their own strengths," he explained. "Maybe Zhang Miao Miao has some qualities that you just haven't noticed yet." What qualities could she possibly have?
11 le grumbled.
Seeing that Shi Lu didn't push it, Ning Xiao sighed in relief. But Shi Li's words had stuck in his head. Ning Xiao started to worry, too. Why did he choose Zhang Miao Miao instead of me? Does he think I'm too old? Ning Xiao was filled with doubt. If anyone else had made a move on a student, Ning Xiao wouldn't have stood for it. But since it was Xiao Han, he didn't even feel like stopping him. He even felt a bit of regret that it wasn't him. Subconsciously, Ning Xiao already didn't dare to go against him. When he finally snapped out of it, he realized the girl Xiao Han told him to watch was gone. "Where's Lu Ruyan?" he asked urgently.
11 le.
"Did you see where that girl went?" Ning Xiao asked. This was the first job Xiao Han had given him. He didn't want to screw it up and disappoint him. Ning Xiao was new and didn't know Lu Ruyan, but Shi Lu knew her all too well. Lu Ruyan followed Xiao Han everywhere, but Shi Lu didn't tell him that. Instead, she just said, "She probably just went to the bathroom. Don't worry, she'll be right back." Ning Xiao breathed a sigh of relief. The door to the second-floor ladies' room was shut tight. Just as Xiao Han was about to explain the job, the door was suddenly kicked open from the outside.
Xia Han Yumpid. Startled.
He saw the girl standing there and face-bombed. "What are you doing here?" Lu Ruyan stared at Xiao Han for a moment. then turned her gaze to Zhang Miao Miao. For the first time, there was actual anger in her eyes. She even opened her mouth to speak. Yeah, I want it too. Xiao Han was stunned. You can talk? Lu Ruyan's mind was sharper than ever. She wasn't going to let him change the subject. Her old female instincts had taken over her brain. Her gut told her that Xiao Han was giving Zhang Miao Miao a special treat, that he was sneaking her good food and leaving her out. She stepped closer. Stop it, Xiao Han said.
Fine, fine.
I'll give you some too. But next time, okay? Lu Ruyan stared intensely at him. I promise, Xiao Han said seriously. Lu Ruyan finally stopped. Zhang Miao Miao watched the two of them suspiciously. From what she could see, there was no way these two were actual siblings. And Lu Ruyan was weirdly innocent, like she just stepped out of an ancient tomb. The whole thing was highly suspicious. Xiao Han could tell what she was thinking, just by looking at her eyes. But he didn't bother explaining, and he didn't even tell her to keep it a secret. Not that it mattered if they were related or not. Even if it did, so what? In this day and age, just surviving was hard enough. The next day, Qilu finally finished the safe house blueprints. Xiao Han was thrilled. Everyone pack your things, he called out. We're moving. Zhang Miao Miao wondered if he'd lost his mind. Move? Where to? The outside is crawling with zombies. Where could we possibly go? Xiao Han pointed at the building across the way. We're going to the other teaching building. Zhang Miao Miao scratched his head, confused. Is that really necessary? Don't ask questions you shouldn't. Just pack your things and follow me. Hearing Xiao Han say that, Zhang Miao Miao looked at the others, hoping they'd help him talk Xiao Han out of it. To him, going out was practically suicide. But he and Qilu didn't get along, so relying on him was out of the question. Lu Ruyan would only ever follow right behind Xiao Han. His only hope was the rational adult, Ning Xiao. But despite his hopeful gaze, Ning Xiao chose to stay silent. She blindly chose to trust Xiao Han. Zhang Miao Miao couldn't help but facepalm. Was he the only smart person left? Xiao Han saw his hesitation, and said bluntly, You're free to stay here if you want. He'd already gotten the first 2 rewards anyway. Zhang Miao Miao was dispensable. Zhang Miao Miao hurriedly said, Of course I'm coming with you. Zhang Miao Miao was a smart man. Staying here meant certain death. He was better off with Xiao Han. Maybe he could protect him and get him out of here. The movement of the 5 of them drew the attention of the others. They started whispering among themselves. Some wondered where they were going. No way. They're going outside, are they? They must be crazy. Going solo versus moving with this many people. Is the risk even comparable? Good riddance. I've been sick of looking at them. Why should an outsider get to live with us anyway? Su Yulan was also in the crowd. Hearing the students, she frowned. Even though Xiao Han rejected her yesterday and spoke harshly to her, she still couldn't just stand by and watch them go to their deaths without doing a thing. So she stepped out and stopped Xiao Han. Where are you going? Leaving. You don't want us here anyway, do you? His retort left Su Yulan speechless. He was right. From the day Xiao Han arrived, plenty of people had made it clear they weren't welcome. At first, it was mostly about their status, but later, Xiao Han's refusal to join the group and his refusal to share his food only made things worse. Unwelcoming feelings turned into jealousy and hatred. Su Yulan was about to speak, but a voice came from behind her. That's right. We definitely don't want you here. Su Yulan turned and glared. It was Du Yongxing. His tone immediately shifted. But the others can stay. Ms. Ning, you're the school doctor. Stay here with us. We need you. Du Yongxing knew how vital a doctor was, so he tried to guilt-trip her using the students. Wow. Poaching my people right in front of me? Before Xiao Han could even say anything, Ning Xiao said, There's no medicine here. Staying wouldn't do much good. I think I'll leave too. Du Yongxing still tried to convince her. But teacher, even if you do nothing, we'd all feel much safer. But Ning Xiao wasn't swayed at all. She was set on following Xiao Han. He saved my life. If it weren't for him, I'd have starved or turned into a zombie by now. So my life is his. Only he gets to decide if I stay or go. Since he couldn't convince Ning Xiao, Du Yongxing didn't care about the others. Aside from Ning Xiao being useful, Qilu and Zhang Miao Miao were just dead weight. Especially that bitch Zhang Miao Miao. After rejecting him, she'd actually thrown herself at Xiao Han. Wasn't she just trying to spite him? Su Yulan finally managed to cut in. She said to Du Yongxing angrily, How can you say that? Yulan, you saw it yourself. No one else wants him to stay. Du Yongsheng acted like he only cared about the camp. Do you really want him ruining the unity of our camp? His words left Su Yulan speechless. She had no moves left. Let's go, Xiao Han said flatly and turned to leave. The other girls followed. We're going too. Block the exit as soon as they're gone. Don't want them regretting it and coming back. Du Yongsheng was very pleased with himself. As far as he was concerned, he'd kicked Xiao Han's group out and gotten his revenge. He had no idea Xiao Han just had a better option and was leaving because he was done with this place. Once Xiao Han and the others climbed out the back window of the building, Du Yongsheng ordered the boys to lock it up. Just in case, he had them bring over tables and chairs to block every single window. Once he was sure it was secure, he finished up and left in a great mood. The others dispersed after a while too. Only Su Yulan kept watching silently as they left. Since the zombie outbreak began, this was Zhang Miaomiao's first time leaving the building. He was incredibly nervous, looking every which way, ready to bolt at a moment's notice. What relieved him slightly was that there were no living zombies around. There were just zombies everywhere, but they were corpses thanks to Xiao Han and Lu Ruyan. Standing in the clearing behind the school,
Xi Yahan stoppade.
Why'd we stop? There aren't many zombies right now. Let's hurry. We're here. System. Claim real estate reward. With just a thought from Xiao Han. On the previously empty ground, foundations were laid out of thin air. And then, metallic-looking walls began to drop into place. It looked just like building in a survival game. They came together, and a matchbox-shaped structure that looked plain outside, but held a hidden world within rows from the ground. Zhang Miaomiao, Ning Xiao and Shi Lu had been gawking since the first brick. Their mouths were wide open in shock. Shi Lu was the first to recognize it. The structure of the building was exactly like the blueprints he'd drawn. He looked at Xiao Han, stunned. Zhang Miaomiao's negativity was gone. He was ecstatic. I knew I had a good eye for people. Ning Xiao was the calmest of the girls besides Ruyan. From the moment Xiao Han saved her, she knew he wasn't ordinary. He was a savior sent from above to rescue her. And if he's a savior, building a house out of thin air makes total sense. Xiao Han saw that besides Lu Ruyan, everyone's favorability levels had gone up. Ning Xiao's rose by 5 points, Shi Li's by 20, and Zhang Miaomiao's was the most extreme. It jumped by a full 30 points. Of course, that was partly because his was the lowest. Let's go, Xiao Han said, closing the system, and walking toward the front door. The safehouse door was also made of titanium alloy, with a fingerprint scanner on an electronic screen. You didn't have to worry about power outages, though. You could still use a key. After registering his own fingerprint, Xiao Han added Lu Ruyan's. As for Ning Xiao and Shi Lu, he planned to wait until their favorability hit 60, before adding theirs. Zhang Miaomiao was too calculating, and had too many hidden agendas. He'd have to wait until at least 80 points. Ignoring Zhang Miaomiao's pleading looks, Xiao Han scanned his finger. The titanium alloy door opened automatically, revealing a corridor. Xiao Han and the others filed in. The power was on inside the safe house. It was very bright. Since it wasn't a large area, there was only one living room, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and 1 storage room. There was also an escape route at the back door. Xiao Han set up his fingerprint system. The system had even generously provided furniture, like a TV, a sofa bed, and a water heater. The AC was a self-contained unit, which meant no outdoor unit for anyone to sabotage. It even came with a diesel generator. Too bad they only gave him 1 barrel of diesel, or he'd never have to worry about power again. The girls looked around curiously once they were inside, occasionally gasping, "Oh my God! There's actually a bathtub and hot water. This huge storage room even has a fridge function."
Nice job, 11.
Didn't you design this house? Why are you so surprised by the result? Can't I be surprised? It's the first time I've seen my own drawings actually get built. And in the blink of an eye, too. I feel so accomplished. Listening to them, Xiao Han would be lying if he said he wasn't happy. And this was just the start. As long as he kept finishing favorability tasks, he'd get more and more safe houses, with more and more features. Garages, basements, workshops, medical rooms, even an indoor pool wouldn't be out of reach. Zhang Miaomiao suggested, "Let's pick rooms. The boss gets his own. Shi Lu and I will take one, and Ms. Ning and Lu Ruyan can share." As soon as she said it, someone objected. "I am not sharing a room with you. I'm staying with Ms. Ning." Lu Ruyan also silently tugged on Xiao Han's sleeve. "Fine. Then the boss and his sister share. Shilu and Ms. Ning share, and I'll take my own. Shilu still wasn't having it. Why do you get a room to yourself? You see how it is with the boss and his sister. And you won't share with me. So I have to stay by myself. Zhang Miao Miao shrugged. I have an idea. You can sleep in the living room. Sheila, are you doing this just to mess with me? Seeing them about to fight, Xiao Han raised his voice. All right, shut up. We'll do it the way Zhang Miao Miao said. More people will probably join us later anyway. Once Xiao Han spoke, they stopped arguing. Sheila pulled Ning Xiao into their room to get settled. Zhang Miao Miao also closed her door, doing who knows what in there. Xiao Han wanted to look around the safe house, to see if there were any weak spots, or design flaws, but Lu Ruyan wouldn't let go of him. She stared at him expressionlessly, wanting to sleep. He pointed at the last room and said, Xiao Han lay down on the bed, and Lu Ruyan snuggled up next to him, burrowing into his arms like a caterpillar. Xiao Han had to turn and hold her, before she'd stay still. Soon, Xiao Han drifted off. Since she was a zombie, Lu Ruyan didn't get tired. She buried her face in his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Back at the teaching building camp, a student noticed the new building, and immediately told Du Yangsheng.
Du Yangsheng was confused.
Why didn't he remember that strange house behind the school? Yet, in his mind, felt like it had always been there. Du Yangsheng hadn't seen it appear, and under the influence of the system, his subconscious thought it was perfectly normal. You saw that outsider go into that house with your own eyes? Du Yangsheng asked the student. Yeah. I saw it myself. The student hadn't seen how the house got there either. He just happened to see them go inside through the window, and ran to tell Du Yangsheng. Whatever, forget about them. This building is the best shelter there is. No need to envy them. Du Yangsheng waved it off, unconcerned about the extra building. Xiao Han woke up at 5 p.m. He walked into the living room, and saw the other three were there. What are you guys looking at? He asked. Boss, look at the monitor.
Konfused, Xia Han stepped closer.
The screen showed the area outside the safe house. Tiny white specks were drifting down, quickly vanishing. Seeing this,
Xia Han frovned.
Is that willow down? Shilu asked. No, it's snow. Being from the north, Ning Xiao recognized it instantly, but the two locals didn't buy it. But this is Binhai City. I've lived here my whole life, and never seen it snow. Besides, it's basically August. It's summer. How could it snow in the summer? Ning Xiao was also stumped. Her knowledge couldn't explain this bizarre weather. Only Xiao Han knew why this was happening. The second wave of the apocalypse had finally arrived. According to his past life, the snow would last for 3 days, and the temperature would keep plummeting. By day 3, it could hit nearly -100. It was a deadly cold where your breath would freeze, and liquid would turn to ice instantly. I can't just sit here for 3 days, while it's just starting to snow. I need to grab more supplies.
11 le.
What kind of stuff does your school store sell? Do you know?
11 le blinked.
But seeing how serious Xiao Han was, he started explaining. As it turned out, since Binhai University was the best in the city, the shopping area was top tier. They called it a supermarket, but it was really more of a mini-mall. From snacks and food to daily essentials and school supplies, the students could get everything they needed without ever leaving campus. So, a trip to the store was definitely worth it. But not right now. We have to wait. They waited until the next day. After lunch, Xiao Han spoke up.
Sang Miao Miao, Ning Tiao.
Get ready to head out with me and Ruyan. Zhang Miao Miao's face instantly dropped. If it were up to him, he'd stay in the safe house and never leave. So he whined to Xiao Han. Do I have to go? You can stay, but I don't keep useless people around. If you stay, you're out. Fine, I'm coming, Zhang Miao Miao blurted out. After experiencing the comfort and safety of this house, only an idiot would want to go back to the teaching building. Xiao Han ignored him but added, dress warm. If you don't have thick clothes, layer up with shirts and pants. And don't wear a skirt. Seeing he'd been left out, Sheila piped up, what about me? Your job is drawing blueprints. Don't worry. I'm not going to just kick you out. Sheila breathed a sigh of relief. He thought he'd become one of those useless people Xiao Han mentioned. 5 minutes. Meet at the door. When they stepped outside, they realized why his advice was so important. Overnight, the world had been covered in a pure white coat. The snow was ankle-deep. You'd sink with every step. It definitely made moving around harder. Plus, it was still snowing heavily, and you could only see about 5 meters ahead. But the worst part was the freezing cold. Felt like it was already below zero. Zhang Miaomiao and Ning Xiao had layered up, but they were still shivering, hugging themselves as their legs shook. "It's freezing, boss. Let's just go back," Zhang Miaomiao pleaded. "It'll be fine once we're in the truck." Zhang Miaomiao looked where Xiao Han was pointing and saw a massive beast. It was a 13-meter-long, heavy truck that looked like Optimus Prime, parked right next to the safe house. "My God! Where did this come from?" His mouth hung open. "Where? It's a reward I got from you, obviously." Before claiming it, Xiao Han had considered an SUV, or even an armored vehicle. But given the situation, he thought a heavy truck was better. For hauling supplies, the system had even generously filled the tank. It was enough to cross several provinces. He didn't explain all that. He just said to them, "You two and Ruyan get in the back. I'm driving. And remember, grab your weapons the second we stop. Stay behind me and Ruyan. Don't you dare fall behind." Ning Xiao looked worried. "Isn't it too dangerous for Ruyan to lead? Maybe I should be in front." To her, she was an adult and a teacher, plus she'd actually killed a zombie. She seemed much more capable than Lu Ruyan. She felt she should be the one protecting them. "Don't worry about her. She's much tougher than I am." Ning Xiao and Zhang Miaomiao looked skeptical. Xiao Han was a total badass, who could wade through a horde. But Lu Ruyan just looked like an ordinary girl. How could she be stronger than him? Still worried, the two got in the back with her. It was a bit warmer once the door was shut. Xiao Han hopped in the driver's seat. "Let's go." As he drove, he kept an eye out for zombies. Sure enough, the truck's noise drew a lot of attention, but they were incredibly slow. Their limbs were practically frozen. Every step took seconds. They could only watch as the truck passed. Looks like after a night in the cold, these zombies were all frozen stiff. That was exactly why Xiao Han had waited. 10 minutes later, a 2-story building with a sign that read, "Binhai University Supermarket," appeared in front of him. Xiao Han knew he'd arrived. The reason for departure. 10 minutes later, a sign read, "A 2-story building of Binhai University Life Supermarket," appeared before Xiao Han. Xiao Han knew he had reached his destination.